Hello friends, and welcome to another WSIB Truth Matters, where I separate the truth from bullshit, facts from fiction, in plain English. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that is of significant importance to people who find themselves in this situation, which is the matter of personal care allowance, and it's a viewer-selected topic. So let's get at it. And we're back. Cheers, my friends. This is a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I have my Saturday afternoon beverage. Normally I do these videos on a Friday, but I wanted to talk about this important subject matter that was requested by a viewer, and it is a very important issue that doesn't affect all injured workers, but it does affect some in a very significant way. And that's the issue of personal care allowance. This is covered under Policy 170605, for those of you who'd like to have a look at it. So I'm going to try to simplify it. So the personal care allowance is applicable to individuals whose claims are handled under the WSIB Serious Injury Program. Typically, these are catastrophic injuries, which can result in significant limitations for the injured person in most activities of daily living. In order for your case to be handled by, or in order for you to be entitled to a personal care allowance, first, your case would have to be transferred to the WSIB's Serious Injury Program. In order for your case to be transferred to the Serious Injury Program and to meet the threshold, for claims after January 1st, 1990, the combined effects of your non-economic loss impairment, and when I say combined, could be because you may have multiple claims or multiple areas of entitlement within the same injury. And so that NAL award would have to be a minimum of 60% or greater. So for example, let's assume that you have a back injury and you're awarded a NAL award of 22%. And within the same claim, you gain entitlement for psychotraumatic disability under the WSIB Psychotraumatic Disability Policy. And if there's a permanent impairment for your psychotraumatic disability, and that permanent impairment or that NAL award ends up being 32%, so that plus the 28%, or was it 22? I think it was 28. Anyway, so that 32% plus the 28% for your low back organic impairment would equal 60%. And so you would have met the threshold for your case to be transferred to the Serious Injury Program. Another example is if you had a back injury for a previous claim, and that back injury, the award was 15% non-economic loss award. Then you suffer another injury under a new claim, and you have entitlement for your cervical spine. And let's assume that in that injury, you are assessed a 45% non-economic loss award. So in the one claim, you have 15 for your back. In another claim, you have 45 for your neck. The two combined would be 60%. You would qualify for your case to be referred to the Serious Injury Program. For claims before January 1st, 1990, the threshold was 100%. So 100% PD award or permanent disability award which is also referred to as a pension. Two very different systems, two different structures of benefits handled under two different laws. Nonetheless, the Personal Care Allowance and the Serious Injury Program is applicable to both, regardless of the date of your injury. So, what are some of the benefits under the Serious Injury Program? There's a number of benefits, and I'm going to cover some of them in a later video. But just to give you an idea, there's the Independent Living Allowance. There's the escort service, also entitlement. And there's entitlement for medication and healthcare services that normally wouldn't be covered under the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act, or if your claim was not being handled by the Serious Injury Program. So I'll touch upon some of these in a later video, but today I want to talk about the Personal Care Allowance because that's a very, very significant one. There's three types of, or three categories of personal care allowance that you may be entitled to. But before I explain that, what is personal care allowance? Well, personal care allowance is a benefit that is provided to individuals who have suffered this catastrophic injury or severe injury, where their impairment is beyond 60% NEL or 100% PD, and they require assistance with their day-to-day activities. The WSIB refers to those as activities of daily living. And it can deal with things such as for severely impaired workers who have issues in mobility, help getting up in the morning, getting dressed, if they need a wheelchair, helping them get into a wheelchair if they have daily showers or bathing, help with those tasks, help with tasks such as preparing meals, preparing food, eating, cooking, cleaning. The list is endless because they don't look at this as a situation where if you're married and you have a spouse, there's no assumption that you wouldn't do any of those activities, that your spouse took on some or most of the activities of daily living that are required in your home, that you require in order to maintain an independent lifestyle. So in the way that these issues or these benefits are calculated, they take into consideration everything, all activities of daily living, including shaving, toileting, if you need help with transportation, going out to buy groceries, social visits, going out to restaurants, brushing your teeth, cleaning the house, doing laundry, drying, folding laundry, putting your laundry away, changing the bedding in the house. It goes on and on and on and on. And so there are three different categories that the WSIB looks at under the policy, and each category has with it a certain grouping of tasks, and also the amount that is payable to a provider in each particular group. So you have what they refer to as skilled attendant. So somebody that will come in, or somebody in the family that's going to handle complex health care treatment and hygiene. But things such as having a nurse come in if you're bedridden and you require more complex healthcare treatment, then that is something that would be allowable to have somebody perform that kind of treatment. If you require some sort of in-home physiotherapy treatment, and other care that is specific to the type of injury that you have, that would be that would fall under the category of skilled attendant care. The other category is personal attendant care. And it's mostly to deal with sort of routine tasks, such as the ones I talked about before, like, for example, getting up in the morning, bedding, getting dressed, putting your clothes out, helping with bathing, preparing food, and those sorts of things. Those will fall under personal attendant care. And then the last one is general attendant care. And that's basically someone who is basically just going to provide some level of supervision if it's required, and if your level of disability and your limitations require someone to have that presence, to kind of just be there to help in the event that you need some sort of help. Again, in order for the claim to be accepted and for you to be entitled to a personal care allowance, it would have to meet that threshold, as I explained previously. Now, who can provide these services? Well, you can hire an outside agency to do that, and the WSIB would pay that agency in the form of a salary, or you can have a family member, spouse, or friend. And over the years, my firm has handled cases where there are both. For example, we have a case where an individual worked in the construction industry, had a significant fall, became a quadriplegic, and required 24-hour-a-day care. And his wife provided some of that care, but they did have to have professionals come in to provide additional care. And that leads me to the next part, which is normally attendant care is provided to a maximum of 24 hours per day. However, it can exceed that amount if you require multiple people involved in your care throughout that 24-hour period. And you would require special permission from the WSIB, but it can be for beyond 24 hours if you meet that criteria. So, friends, this basically gives you an overview of attendant care allowance. There are specific rates for each category that I've described in terms of how they're paid, and they basically work with an hourly rate. So a skilled attendant may get a $35 an hour payment as opposed to somebody who's providing general attendant care, which could be $20 an hour. But it's all based on that. And generally, there is an assessment that's done by the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board to determine the needs of the person who requires personal care attendance allowance, and to look at how extensive those needs are, and then to work out a budget to cover that. So I wanted to keep this simple. It can be complex, and if you're not sure if you're being provided with adequate amount of personal care allowance, then by all means send me an email at joemachado@wsibsettlements.com, and I can assess that for you, and I can make recommendations as to what should be done in order to make sure that you are receiving, or the person that you're caring for is receiving the adequate level of support that they need, allowable within the Personal Care Allowance Policy. All right, friends. So anyway, I enjoyed spending this time with you again today, and I hope that the information that I was able to provide is helpful for those of you who are watching, or maybe somebody that you know, in which case I would ask that you share this video with them so that they can get a better understanding of what they're entitled to and what to do in the event that they're not really sure whether they're getting what they're entitled to or not. Because with the WSIB, well, the goal is to always pay less than what should be paid, in my experience. All right, friends. So here's to the rest of the weekend. I hope that you have a great weekend, that it's rested weekend, and that you have good time with the family. I know we always do, and we look forward to that. And until the next one, my friends, take care.